Hello and welcome to our session today. It's about the international comparison of digital media usage worldwide and with implications for Germany as well. My name is Dennis Gassmann. As you said, I'm leading the communications, media and technology business for Accenture here in Austria, Switzerland, Germany. And I have some exciting panelists with me, 5 gentlemen here. I'm going to introduce them in a minute. And we will have this discussion in English, as he said. Some of the guys here are from the US, the United Kingdom, so hopefully okay for you all. I'm going to start off the session here with, you see here, the Digital Consumer Survey. So Accenture is conducting a Digital Consumer Survey every year worldwide. So in basically 23 countries, we're interviewing a selected group of people, 1,000 per country, about usage of digital devices and of media consumption. And we issue this study every year. After the session, we also have some cards with the download link, and I got here a presentation. So feel free to download it. It's a free survey with a lot of interesting stuff, hopefully for you. And I'm gonna just go glancing over some of the key messages to give you some context. Then we'll start the panel with this gentleman here. So first of all, for those of you who don't know Accenture, we're serving the media and technology industry here worldwide. We're a company with 300,000 employees. So no more boutique, now quite a large company with 30 billion revenue. And we're serving basically all different industries, and our target normally is we serve the G2000 clients with the 2,000 largest enterprises in the world. And as well some selected players in the industry. You can see from the references we got a quite good selection of international media clients with different stuff from video and broadcasting over publishing, gaming and gambling as well. And it's a broad spectrum to it, but just for way of introduction who we are. The survey we conduct each year, and in Germany actually we did this together with the GfK, the Gesellschaft für Kulturgüterforschung. We interviewed, as I said, 1,000 people on media usage, and it's around 4 topics basically. Topic number 1 is devices. So how do we use devices? How many devices do we use? What are we using? How do we use the devices for? The other big topic is around content and apps. So what's actually the stuff that we're looking on the devices, and what are the trends globally in the European Union and also in Germany? And then we have a look around providers, so who are dominating players in the world. You know, we have the fabulous 5 large companies in the US dominating a lot the internet market, Google, Amazon, and Co. And we also have, of course, in every country we have local players. And how does this correlate to each other? Where are the strengths and the weaknesses, and what are the threats and opportunities here? And then, of course, number 4 is the customer. Here especially it's the stuff around the data, which is interesting. And more and more interested in our time at the moment, in our age. So digging just a minute or 5 minutes into that survey. So the one thing we're going to talk about later in a minute with the panel as well is about device convergence. So what is the trend going on, and how many devices do we use, and what's interesting in the survey, even if it's only let's say a bit more in the others, but you can see that especially in Germany the trend goes more and more to the topic that we say we're going to use multiple devices for looking at content we have. Yeah, so even worldwide, the comparison worldwide, if you compare, is a bit less. This also has to do with some of the countries where people can only afford 1 device or maybe 2 devices. But in the, let's say, in the European comparison as well, Germany is slightly above that. So the trend does not go to, let's say, I have 1 device or only have 2 devices maybe, and I want to have all on that. So the trend goes clearly to the usage of multiple devices. And one thing that's especially affected of this is the seamless experience one has if he looks at content over devices. You know, it's no more sufficient if we say, hey, I'm a publisher, and now I have, I have my newspaper, and now I have the iPad version of this. But the iPad version is completely different. That's no more sufficient. You need that seamless experience over the multiple devices. And that's, I think, a very interesting topic we're going to cover. Then what you also can see is in terms of screens, a lot of people at the moment discussing about screen sizes, especially since Apple came out, you know, with this actually 2 larger versions of their phone. And everybody was puzzling, especially in Germany, why do I even need a large screen? I mean, I have this iPhone 5, it fits perfectly in my jeans, but what about this, you know, this tablet thing, iPhone 6 Plus something, you know, it's more a tablet than anything. And what you can see here, what's very interesting, especially in Germany, people are quite okay with the screen size. Not a lot, not the majority is looking for larger screen sizes. However, 30% are favoring a larger screen size. But internationally, and that's very interesting, the trend really goes to that larger space. What's interesting in Germany especially is that the usage of tablets is far less behind than in the European Union and worldwide. So tablet usage is not, I think we're a bit behind in usage of that. What's very interesting on the other hand is that we are the country that nearly most of the people have or not most of the people, but comparing to the others, 90% have an e-book reader. So while in other countries, a lot of people reading e-books on their tablet, in Germany, a lot of people actually now own e-book readers as an extra device. If we talk about content, and that's interesting as well, just as we can compare it to the stats for the international comparison. So red is Germany here, and green the European Union, and yellow global. And you can see that in worldwide, the usage of mobile devices for different things, for different usage of content is much more advanced than in Germany. So what are the Germans doing? I think a lot of Germans actually use the phone to make phone calls. It's a bit scary, isn't it? But it looks like, yeah. But you can see that there is a huge potential in this. You know, look at, for example, e-books. So most people, as I said, have e-book readers, so they don't use their mobile device for e-book reading, while they do it in other countries. And it's actually very interesting that in a lot of things like radio, for example, the usage in Germany of the mobile device is not as far advanced in other markets. And I mean, this gives tremendous business opportunities for other companies here to extend their network. Another thing is on what are actually people willing to pay for in terms of content. Altogether, it's interesting to say, or maybe not too much a secret, but e-books really has far advanced. So people are really willing to pay now for books. This has not been maybe the case a couple of years before, but now people are really willing to pay for books. But a general trend we can see is that people are always more willing to pay for something if it's part of a platform or an ecosystem. Yeah? So very interesting is altogether that, for example, in-vehicle navigation with real-time alerts, you can, most of you probably use that as well, you get traffic reports. So this is something that really has far advanced, and also in Germany now, lots of people are paying for that extra functionality to get that real-time content, to get that real-time information. But also, what's a large field to come is home security and home safety, yeah? Where you can actually, you can steer your alarm system with your mobile phone, or you can switch your lights on and off, or you can use, and that's especially for Germany, very interesting, as we're far advanced in the energy sector as well. You can switch on, you can adjust your heating as well. This is something where an ecosystem is in place, where people are really more willing to pay for it than if it's just a small or a single functionality. And also a big thing, of course, is all around health and fitness. Testing is a classic example of this. You have several devices, you can measure yourself, you can be part of a platform, you can actually also really control what type of information you want to share or not. And this goes more and more into the trend we see at the moment in terms of what people are paying for. And as I said, if you're really more interested in details, have a look, you're invited to have a look at the survey altogether. What's interesting around providers, this is a comparison we did, and it's just, I think it's not the full screen here. It's a couple of stuff missing, but I think most information is on there. So what you can see is that this is around, would you consider, for example, Google to make one of these functionalities for you? Would you consider Amazon, so the big 5 companies plus Samsung for that functionalities? So actually a lot of people, look at the number, 25% of the people actually said, yeah, I would consider to make phone calls over Samsung if Samsung is going to give a service like that. Yeah? And as we all learned, we have the guy in the keynote in the TV panel today in the morning as well. Amazon Instant Video is a tremendous success now. Yeah? Part of the package they had already of Amazon Prime, and it's a very, very great platform now, which is evolving in high speed. And you know, in the video sector, you can see that Amazon is actually very well positioned in that space as well. Yeah? So, but on the other hand, what we found out in Germany, and this is, I think, an opportunity, especially for the local companies here, is that most of the people really would rather trust more a provider which is local. Yeah? So this is a chance for local providers, yeah? For cloud businesses, but also for media providers. So yes, some consider even more if these guys can offer services, but on the other hand, the vast majority says, if my local provider will give me some service, I would rather go to there, I trust them. There's a lot about trust, of course, in the country still. So this is an opportunity for the local business here, where you can go from. And last but not least, it's about data. I'm going to skip that one in the interest of time. But the conclusion at the end is, and data, I mean, that's a topic you all know, which is basically really in depth discussed in Germany, especially after all that, you know, NSA things and Edward Snowden. But the conclusion at the end is, there is no black and white. It's not like, we don't want a world, you know, where we give away all our data and we're not in control. Of course not, we want to do that. But it's also not the other side. You cannot say, I just give away nothing of my data. Because at the end it would mean it's very hard for you to get a personalized service. So my classic example is the corner shop. We used to have, maybe 2 decades ago, the typical Tante Immer laden, you know. In the village where I grew up with 2,000 inhabitants on the Swabian River Neckar, what you can hear. It's actually, you know, this woman ran the shop. She knew exactly what my mother wanted to buy. She knew it, and she had it in her head. And she knew when she had to purchase some stocks around it, because she knew exactly the buying behavior of her. Did she sold the data of that? Did she make money out of that? No, but she provided a better service to her. And this was because she knew her customer. Later on in the supermarkets, and I know that when I was a little child, when I first saw a supermarket, this is completely anonymously. So the supermarket was not able to bring a personalized service because everybody is anonymous. So there's something in between we need to find what's happening. And I think at the end, and this is something we have some experts here to discuss, it's all around that you are in control what you can share. And that basically is probably data, the new, Mr. Höttges said today, the new Rohstoff, but I would say maybe also the new currency in the new world. Okay, with that introduction just for you, this link down there, Accenture.de Digital Consumer, is where you can actually download the complete study. My colleague is also handing out some business cards with a link on that and with the QR code. So if you're interested in the complete study, it's a larger document than of course the extract. Go have a look, download it. If you have any questions around that, please contact me directly. And I'm now switching over to the panel we have here, just to introduce you the panelists we have here today. And I'll start with Dominic here on the left side. Dominic, you started in the TV business, yeah, with ITV and Channel 4 in the UK, and you moved to News Corp after that. So you're a TV guy. You've been one of the first employees and the founding CEO of Autonomy, a startup there, and then moved to San Francisco as well, where you now run a company called Consult Partners, and you're helping basically startups in the Silicon Valley with go-to-market strategies for that one. So welcome, Dominic Johnson. We have Paul here, Paul Breitenbach, also from the US. Thanks for coming, Paul. Paul, you have been the founding CMO of Priceline.com. And Priceline.com is one really of the disruptors in the internet business. Yeah? This was a company, you know, where it's not, you book a flight and there's the price. So Priceline.com really looked what people are willing to pay for and then adjusted the price. And it's now an over 60 billion company in the US. And you now are the CEO of R4 Technologies, which is a decision engine analytics thing. So the slogan is making data to dollars. Yeah? So it's about data monetization. Very interesting topic, and welcome to have you here, Paul Breitenbach. Next one is Virus from Proto. Virus, you're from the music industry, basically. You've worked for a lot of the international big labels like Universal, Sony, EMI. You've been involved in the launch of a lot of successful singles and albums, top 100 albums. You went to Warner Brothers later on, and you're one of the guys, you're the guy that opened the Berlin office, the German office for Deezer, which is a streaming music platform, some of you might know. And now Virus is the founder of Wyra, and Wyra is an accelerator and helping really startups to go to market with an office here in Munich as well. Virus from Proto, welcome to have you here. Then we have Thomas Bricklinger is from Bwin Party in Vienna, and Thomas ran the IT there, was later director of R&D at Bwin, and is now responsible for, let's say, all the entertainment channels there, and the e-gaming system, of course, the mobile devices and stuff. Welcome, Thomas Bricklinger. And last but not least, we have Mark here, Mark Schwarze. Mark is with Deutsche Telekom. He's part of the TV at Deutsche Telekom for long years now. You've been the one that made Entertain successful in the past as well. And you're running the whole TV business and also mobile business for mobile TV. And let's say all the entertainment products for Deutsche Telekom. Mark, welcome. So let's start with the first topic we had around device convergence and these multiple devices and how do we make it a seamless customer experience really working here. And Thomas, maybe a question for you from the gaming industry. What are your experiences on that, multiple devices and seamless customer experience you have?
Yeah, definitely we see a lot of cross-usage cross-device usage. And people don't use, at the moment what we see on our platform is people don't use just the mobile, just the desktop. What I'm currently not sure, and I think that's the case for most of the companies who evolved more or less just from a desktop business, is it because you have people used to your current product and they don't want to switch? Are your new products not on the same maturity, I would say? And are you already fast enough also in adopting these trends? So I see a lot of problems in our area where you come from some kind of older technology or legacy stuff in adopting these new channels. So that's definitely a big transition for us. And that's why we see a lot of cross-channel usage across our customers. So no single usage of desktop or mobile at the moment. If you refer to tablet, for example, or phablets, I think that's also, we don't see a lot of tablet usage yet, but again, I think the offer is not there at the moment, and especially in the gaming industry, nobody really focused also on tablet usage yet, so there is a lot of room for improvement in creating the new custom experience for touch channels, I would say.
It's very interesting. I mean, also if you look at the Apple sales and the Apple tablet sales, this is, I think, the only category where it went down, the tablets. So we could also have a panel today on what's wrong with the tablets at the moment. It seems like it has a bit down at the moment. It's very interesting. And you told me recently when we discussed it on the phone, you said most people use BVN, they use it on the PC or then directly on the mobile phone.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have a real-time product. That's also very important to understand. It's betting is more or less real-time. It's in our case, it's live betting on a game which is running already. So it's live, and that's why you need a quick access to the game, and then you need to have just a short look at the game, a short getting the information of the game, the statistics, and then deciding placing the bet or not. It's not like you're surfing around and being entertained at the moment. I mean, that's definitely something we need to work on and increase this experience, but that's the situation right now. And
okay, thanks very much.
And Denis, if I could just answer your question. You said, what's wrong with tablets, why are tablets dropping? I actually think they are a victim of their own success. What's right with tablets is the fact that everyone's using them, they're happy with them, there's no real kickback. If you look at the latest range of iPads that were launched last week, they're faster, they're a little thinner, but they're not incrementally better. So I think people are happy with what they've got. They're using them significantly across all sorts of different applications. And so I think we have a really happy, loyal consumer base, which is not frequent in technology.
Well, that's right, absolutely. Absolutely. It's still an interesting fact that in Germany it's not that breakthrough yet than in other countries, but it's interesting to see what happens there. Dominic, I mean, you're in the valley, you're at the heart of the new economy there. How much of that current, digital and mobile consumption is actually visually now, in opposed to having it textually? Do you see the trend here now, and what could be the implication here, for that device convergence we see?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It comes back to what we're talking about tablets. I mean, the form factor that people are using are increasingly visually based. If you look at the success of companies and services such as Pinterest, Instagram, Vine, all of these are visually based, and I believe that, and certainly in the Valley, a huge amount of VC money is going into visually based products that people can interact with far more easily on touch screens, on whether it be touch screens for television or touch screens for personal media consumption. So if you look at one of the main interfaces onto any digital data, which is search, Google doesn't own search on the mobile or tablets. It's a game that's completely up for grabs, and I know of 8 search technologies just for mobile coming out this year, and half of those are visually based. So I think the visual web is here to stay. A lot of people in the Valley believe that the visual web can actually overtake eventually the textual web. I'm not necessarily sure I'll go that way, but I really think there's huge potential.
Any recent examples where you say these are really the forerunners in that part?
Pinterest. I think Pinterest is a fabulous example of how something really simple and really visual can become very compelling. The hunt in social shopping, I don't know if that's as big here as it is in the US, but the idea of here's a dress or here's a jacket that I like, can somebody help me find something similar? That's now got 18 million users in less than a year. And again, it's very simple. Show something, find me something, and help me buy.
And it's language agnostic at the end as well.
Completely language agnostic, absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much. Mark, around video, you're the man for video and TV in Deutsche Telekom. What do you see as the trends for video, also device usage, what trends can you see in the German market especially, and what do you think are the challenges, opportunities in that space at the moment?
Yeah, first of all, it's great news that the devices are penetrating at a high percentage right now. So for everybody who's producing content, it's great news that your study showed that there's an average of 5 connected devices per person. So that is a situation where all those devices need oil. They need to be fueled, and they need to be fueled by all types of media. So first of all, this is great news that the penetration of those smart devices are increasing, since this gives all of us the opportunity to put all the services on top of those devices. So this is number one. From the specific TV and video, we see that the video on demand stuff is already there. This is already on all the mobile devices, and I think this trend is mainly fueled by the so-called millennials, so by the youngsters, by the 18 to 34-year-olds. And in the live TV space, it's completely different. So live TV is more a subject that is known and that is well established in the living room. And just recently, we see the live TV part going multi-screen. So there are a couple of players and products out there right now, and it slowly takes up. From our own product, Entertainment-to-Go, I'd like to share some data with you. So what we see is that the average consumption of live TV multi-screen on a daily basis adds up at around 18 minutes that we can see right now. So you all know the number of 220, 230 minutes average live TV usage. And what we've seen is, since we have our service out in the market, this is now around a year, we have some sound figures which started at about 55-60 minutes. And since we added the net PVR around 4 weeks ago, the live TV usage or the near live usage went up another 20 minutes. So this is something what we currently see as a huge trend, that also apart from the on-demand business, the live TV goes multi-screen and goes different devices. Play has just started.
Can I ask a question? Do you see any breakdown in terms of what type of content is driving that? I mean, is there a distinction between sport and entertainment or movies? Is there any breakdown that you've done of that?
No, we don't have that breakdown so far, but an interesting additional bit of information is multi-screen is not similar to out-of-home usage. So interestingly enough, the multi-screen usage takes place at home. Not necessarily in the living room, but in all other places in the house, but not on the go. So the real mobile use of the live TV streams is around 15 to 20% to 80% at home usage. And this is also an interesting fact. And coming back to the genre split or to the type split, live TV dominates. At least in the Entertain-to-Go product, video on demand has not a great percentage in that usage right now. It might come, but today it's more live TV driven.
Okay, thanks very much. Virus, music industry. What do you see there in the music industry? And especially, we saw that paradigm shift, from owning to streaming, which I think has happened actually in the music industry, and in the TV sector, of course, it's a big thing around streaming as well. What do you see? What can we learn from the music industry for the other types of media, and what do you think? What are the implications here?
Well, if I look around here in Germany, we still have paradise in the sense that there's the CD. And people buy CDs. 77% of revenues are still through physical product, owning something. When you then go to Sweden, and you see that 90% of revenues are coming from streaming, and it's Spotify and others, but mainly Spotify, a sea change is happening. And that sea change is through all parts of the industry. So the artists, nowadays, and before you would, as a band, rent a studio and spend 6 months recording a great record or more, and then release that record and make a big splash. Nowadays, artists have to go to the studio every week or so, release content continuously, single after track, produce newsworthy content around their persona. So that has completely changed. Consumers obviously want everything now on all devices, all the content. If you have your Spotify or Deezer or Wimp account and you realize, hey, I can listen to all this music offline in the subway or tube, this is magic, right? And finally, the record companies also are changing dramatically, as there is a very direct contact with the consumer now. It hasn't been before. And now through data analysis, we're learning, how do people consume music? When do they listen to what kind of music at what time? And we're targeting all kind of marketing efforts towards that. So it's very data-driven now.
I was very, very overwhelmed when I met recently one of the guys that is actually responsible for pressing most of the CDs, physically here in Germany. And he said to me, that since 1 year, CD sales have stabilized. They're not dropping more. And they've stabilized to still a high amount. I was really puzzled by that. I was really thinking, okay, there is a market for CDs out there. Yeah? I mean, the market for vinyl is coming back. But there is still a market for CDs. There's a lot of CDs sold still, so this is an interesting thing. What do you think, some of the lessons learned in terms of how the enterprises coped with that? I mean, a lot of people say, the music industry, basically, they have not realized that this trend is happening, and then at the end they were caught by this trend. So for other industry, what can they learn around that terms of early adoption of new technologies?
I would say that in the Napster days, when digital really became big, music industry was very defensive, trying to protect the business model, trying to alienate consumers by introducing copy protection, defending, just business models that were outdated in a way, and this has changed also very much. There's a twofold kind of strategy now. You still create amazing content that's across all media industries, obviously the same, but then you license out aggressively to all services, and you, really understand that you're not the one driving the change technologically, but you have to work with everyone. And so if you then look at perhaps the film industry, also the book industry, the differences are all the content that is out there musically is also available on these services. We don't have any versioning, we don't do, time, DVD sales, all this kind of versioning content is not happening anymore. Globally available, 37 million tracks, and you very aggressively make it available for everyone.
One last question, just what is really the differentiation between the one streaming service and the other? At the end you say as an end consumer, if I get, let's say, most of the music, everybody has his black holes, his black spots where you don't get the music for some labels, but at the end, how do you differentiate? For me as an end user, I say, so how is really one service better than the other when basically everybody is streaming music? How can you differentiate there?
Typically, the services don't differentiate very much in terms of what they're offering. They offer almost the same content. It's more a personal look and feel type thing. I think the real differentiator will come in terms of curation. How do you show people not only what they know they like, but also what they might know like in the future through intelligent profiling recommendations, and that's where Deezer, a streaming service, very active in France and globally, has now introduced Flow, which is a hybrid of algorithms checking what people listen to and then adding human curation to it. Yeah. So that's the real holy grail now. How do you show people among this mass of music what they should listen to?
So it comes back at the end to the same thing, that is that you need to know what the guy wants that is sitting in front of my application, and you really want to have that personalized experience more and more. Yeah. Paul, you've been in that technology industry for long years now as well. What do you see at the moment, especially also in the American market or in the global market, as the trends, especially also in terms of media? And the question is, because you're an expert in that as well, how do you think, how to make money out of that? That's where the enterprises are interested in at the end. What are the forms of data monetization you see as the trends at the moment?
I think that's a great point. When you look back at the sort of dawning of the internet, right? The big idea was information, and they didn't typically maneuver product around. And I think the same exact lesson from what was the dawning of the internet age applies now, which is then so many companies have so much information, yet there are so many companies who either say one or two things. I either have so much data, I can't manage it, or I have no data, which really means I have a lot of data and I can't get access to it. And I think the lesson from Priceline is and then the question is, how do you monetize it? So you have to take the data, you have to pull it together, and then a lot of what you guys were just talking about is then you have to be able to deliver the content in a personalized way, in a customized way, and in, most importantly, a promotional and pricing and package and cross-sell type way. One of the sort of secret lessons in Priceline, everyone used to think it's about lowering the price because they mistake it to be the same business as Amazon. Because Amazon's model is pretty clear: make the price as cheap as possible for every last person, make it the same price. The secret behind Priceline was really to try to extract the highest amount of margin and revenue out of each individual consumer by leveraging data and information to not only personalize the offer and the product, but to then customize it in an instantaneous basis. So to me, that's the nirvana, I think, in media. They have the content, they've got the data, they've got the customers, they now just have to find a way to pull it all together.
and find basically new ways, not the, let's say, the normal ways how to make money, just in paying, let people pay for viewing some content, some stuff around that as well.
Well, that's the second part of that monetization question. Is the first part is how do I just leverage it in my core business, right? But the uncomfortable conversation is how do I do product development? How do I take that information and leverage new business models and not necessarily be panicked about offering content in a different way that might not be the same way I've done it for a while before. And so I think there's a healthy blend between the two, because product development surely is, and in the digital world, product development is, what does that mean? It's a new packaging and bundling and offering, right?
Yeah. Thomas, your experiences from Berlin, I mean, of course, betting, I think the business model is quite clear, I would say, but you're not only doing betting, so I mean, as a gaming company altogether as well, I mean, do you see, what are the new things, to make money out of that, new things of making data monetization?
Two areas I want to cover actually, like what happened in the music industry or in the digital right industry is happening now in the data industry. So what we see currently is how do you get access to information of games, for example. That's something which is changing right now, that big leagues, US leagues or German Bundesliga or something right now are looking into what kind of data do they provide, what kind of data are you allowed to access freely. So there's a change definitely coming up, like in the music industry. My opinion is the data is out there anyway, so you need to have the same approach to say how do you monetize the data, because it's there already. So you can't rely on the old model. You need to find a new model to monetize it. So that's a big change in this regard. And on the other hand, packaging products is also in our industry a big issue. Like, in what's the situation you're currently in? Are you right now on the rush in the subway, want to place a bet? Do you want to finish a poker hand somewhere? Do you want to do it starting on the desktop, moving over to tablet? Having this cross-device usage is definitely a big issue. And then finding the right approach how to target the customer, like finding the best offering for him. As you said, we don't want to drive the price down, obviously, and we want to get the best margin out of our products. And packaging it with the right promotion, finding the right approach, and what's the behavior of the customer, what's as I said, the situation is currently in is something which at the moment in our industry not really is done yet, and as I talked to Paul before, is we're working on that to really find the right approach in profiling the customers, working with the data, that's a big issue, and also targeting the data in the right way. That's a huge opportunity, I think, and for us, definitely something to differentiate.
I just wanted to make one comment on that, because what you just talked about was a very important element, which is this concept of earned data. And I think it's, everyone always talks about data as being very scary, big brother, you snooze, right? The consumers are clearly willing to trade data with presence of mind, trade the data for a better experience, a better outcome, a better product. And I think that's the nirvana. When we talked about earlier, like this concept, how does Internet of Things fall into play with all this? Where does the consumers leaving this digital footprint everywhere, especially with Internet of Things? To me, that is one of the most fertile places to look for where you earn data, which means the consumer proactively says, I want to have a relationship with you. I think the brands who get this right in terms of creating a systemic earned data permission handshake with the consumer are going to be the winners for decades.
Yeah, absolutely. Thomas, one thing, when I was in Vienna and learned about the Calypso, the payment engine you guys have, I was really overwhelmed by the capabilities, and it's very interesting. You guys built up that platform, but you had to have something around the payment stuff, and then you realized, hey, it's a great payment engine, but can we use that as well, and can we basically sell it as a service or as a product at the end? So is there a clear trend as well what you guys see? I mean, from, let's say, like a gaming company that we've been saying, okay, but we are selling other services because there's a part we developed as part of our core system. So talking about, a little bit that industry convergence, which is happening everywhere, and what type of, let's say, the media industry can really play in that industry convergence and can develop other services. I mean, Thomas, what experiences did you make with that? Because it's not your normal business model, or it was not your normal business model.
I mean, the payment business was actually our main concept at the beginning was we need to offer a seamless payment experience for our customers.
Yeah.
And we didn't find a suitable payment provider being able to service our customers in various countries. And our strategy was we need to have the top 3 payment services integrated in each country. So that's why we built up this payment platform. And out of that, definitely we tried to find the right approach how to combine that with the gaming business, of course. I mean, that's and also taking care of the usage of the data we are creating out of the payment, and also targeting the customer right again.
Yeah.
That's what you again was talking about, how to leverage the data you have and how to create this trust. That's a lot of a brand, lot of the creating the brand, creating the trust around it, and that you are then able to leverage the data. I mean, it's one sentence. It's also a very fragile model in terms of really using the trust in the right way and not destroying the trust.
Yeah, I think, on gaming, we also look at the other side of gaming to learn lessons about monetization. And one of my clients is King, and we launched that infernal game, Candy Crush Saga, for them. They make millions and millions and millions for selling nothing, for basically leveling up in-app purchasing. And the whole idea of virtual currencies, virtual transactions, digital currencies and digital experiences, people will pay for that. In-app purchases for essentially nothing but digital experiences is the fastest growing revenue stream out of almost anything across the App Store.
Yeah.
And so paying for something where you get nothing in return but a digital experience is a huge way to monetize.
It's that typical, that role play, I need a lot of better swords, so I buy it in-app, and then, but that's a tremendous model. Yeah. Mark, TV, do you see, let's say, what forms of data monetization in addition to the traditional stuff do you see in TV in the future or at the moment as well? And one other thing I wanted to ask you is that, of course, on the other side, the network topic on let's say mobile. We discussed before, about mobile TV. So people always say, if I use a mobile TV or normal TV, I just want to have the same quality. I think you know, especially around that topic of it's not the same technology out there. What are the challenges for that mobile TV usage as well? Maybe just starting with the first thing around monetization.
Okay, when it comes to data monetization, we have just some experiences so far, so we're in a very early stage in that. When it comes to recommending the right movies at the right time to the right persons. So when it comes to our video on demand catalog, it's obvious that the TV screen is too small to display all the 10,000-15,000 titles that are in there. So one of the questions we are asking ourselves is, how do we reduce the searching time for the customer, since no one wants to spend more time searching for the right video asset in contrast to consuming. So this is a real challenge, and I can't have I do not have a complete picture right now on that. We have some first steps in it, and they look promising. But on the other hand, this is a real difficult subject, and I think we also have to find other ways to reduce the searching time for the consumer, since what we see in the living room experience, a massively growing amount of assets. So imagine a customer that has not only a Netflix, but also a Maxdome or a Sky package book. I mean, how should a customer like that find the relevant stuff for Friday night? So we need to find out new ways how to address this user interface and this search topic. And I think there is no clear answer to it yet. There are tests and also products out there when it comes to voice search. I think the Amazon colleagues are working heavily on that. And whether that might be something that is a future trend that will be in a German household as naturally used as the remote control right now, we don't know yet, but we definitely have to sort out this problem. I think this is an industry-wide problem, which is purely fueled by the sheer amount of content that's available and that want to be displayed somewhere on the TV screen in the living room. On the second screen, on the tablet or a smartphone, this is far easier since you have this little search string and you type in what you're looking for, and immediately you get your results. But this is obviously not so easy when it comes to your remote control, where you just have a page up, page down arrow, and you cannot conveniently navigate on the TV screen. So we are far behind when it comes to navigating on the TV screen compared to the agility, flexibility on the second devices.
Okay.
May I add something? It's a bit different in our case, but actually we also have some kind of offering where you need to search, where you need to browse through. Actually, that's what we try to avoid in the future and say we don't want you to search or want experience it. We are coming to you and presenting what's relevant to you. And I think also that's a very important aspect, because searching is not something somebody wants to do because it hinders the fast experience, and that's something I think is also a change in how to experience content, how to get the right content.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much. Maybe spending the last few minutes we have on some of, let's say, what do we see as the future trends. Dominic, being, as I said, in the heart of the valley, what do you think, what is the coolest stuff that's coming up now? You know, stuff that maybe we have not imagined last year. What is actually, in terms of startups, what are some new ideas or concepts that you see which might have not evolved 3 years ago? And is there a trend at the moment in some direction?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's seen the huge growth in wearables, and there's wearable everything. In fact, last week we launched a wearable neuroscience-based device that can actually change your state of mind. So I think we're going to see at CES.
That sounds a bit spooky.
Well, I haven't tried it. I've been told it's rather effective, so I'm looking forward to it. But I think CES is going to be wearable heaven. I think we're going to see wearables in all kinds of ways. Coming back to what you said, I think one of the big trends that we're going to start to see, and I know this word has been used so much, is true personalization. Mm-hmm. People have talked about personalization for years. No one has ever done it right. Personalization has been, because I watched something, some of you watched, I should like it. True personalization, I watch something because I watch it, my other interests are this. Give me something that's relevant to me, and technologies such as R4 and some. I mean, Netflix said the other day they're going to spend $150 million on recommendations to try and get to true personalization. So I think next year we're going to see some amazing things come out which are truly personalized experiences. Media is going to be at the vanguard of that, and I think gaming as well.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. And Paul, to that thing, over to you. Maybe, I mean, as one did it before, you know, people looked at demographics and then they said, oh yeah, this is a female 20 to 35-year-old living in the Munich area, so she must be interested in that stuff. I mean, a bit exaggerated, but that's how it was in the past, you know, always looking at demographics first and then trying to get something out of it. This has changed completely, or this is not how it works, and what trends do you see? I mean, what's the difference now in real, the technology can help personalization in the future?
Yeah, I think to both Mark's point and Dominic's point, I think we're kind of seeing the end of the era of collaborative filtering, which is the idea I bought book A, and so therefore I should want to buy book B because I've looked at book A. I think the new true personalization is a multi-dimensional microcluster. So it's around not only products, like book A and book B, but it's around consumer microclusters as well as, contextually speaking, location microclusters. And I think the hot trending just has to be in the next couple of years is how do I get to true personalization? Is throwing all these three microclusters together and then truly delivering that micro-personalized product and service. I think that's the thing. It's largely math-driven. It's complicated, but it's like what you just said before. It's like, who the heck wants to sit and search and search and search? They just wanted to entertain me, and I don't really want to have to work hard at it anymore. And we are clearly in the era of where this is going to explode, and then that data then it becomes that's your monetization strategy.
And that comes together, I think, with the point on data we discussed before, that really the consumer is, let's say, in charge and keeps his data, and he's trading his data, yes, if he gets a direct benefit for that, but not just, blank putting somewhere in and then the company makes something out of it. So this is a clear trend I think we see here. But also it is basically not giving data is a prerequisite of having that personalized experience as well. So that goes together, and I think we're going to see a lot more on that one.
That's exactly right. The other element of that is this Internet of Things. And you guys have all heard about beaconing. It's the big Apple button, right? I mean, it's basically a Bluetooth network, right? Well, the concept of just in the background applications that absorb information.
Directly connecting
and just remembering is really the most important thing, because then it drives that mathematical equation of how do I personalize. So I think those are, absolutely going to be the trend. And it's not, beaconing is not just a retail thought, when you think about it from a media point of view, because what you said earlier is fascinating, which is that people watch something different at home as they may be watching when they're out and about. I multi-screen at home, but I don't multi-screen when I'm out. So the context of where the stuff is consumed, the location, that's why the idea of the location is so critically important, because I may be desirous of a totally different experience when I'm away from home versus when I'm in home, depending on who I'm with. And again, that's all beaconing.
Yeah, okay. There was in music, as I said before, I mean, now we have streaming, now I can go into my car, I put on Spotify or something, or Deezer, I can listen to all my music, so the question would be, hey, what's next? I mean, I got everything, I can hear every music. Is there, I mean, it's always hard to say, what's the future, but it could be, I mean, that's now the end game, that's paradise of music for the end consumer. So what's the next thing? Is this the one with, getting more personalization, or are there other things out there for music?
Well, I mean, the big change, as I said before, is you don't own, you rent music, and you access content, and that's something that's going to go across all media industries. I think you don't need to own a book anymore. You rent the book, or you rent the film. In a sense, you access, and that's the key. What's the key movement right now, right? And then once that is established, then it's all about really drilling down to the usage as here, and personalize, and then offer what people really want, because you know from the data.
Okay, thanks very much. Thomas, final short word on gaming. Is there anything you think that's the next thing?
Again, the data.
Yeah,
data is
as well. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mark, for TV and entertainment in Germany as well?
Yes, for the big screen experience, I think it's the ease of access.
As well. Yeah.
I heard someone saying these days, in the future, all TV platforms will have all the content made available to all the consumers, and so the way how you are getting to your content is something that differentiates a TV platform in the future for the living room experience. Coming back to the millennials for a second, we learned that their live TV usage is far less than expected. So only every second millennial is switching on the TV screen a day, and no one really knows what happens when those, let's say, 18 to 34-year-olds, even if this is a traditional segmentation, what happens to this consumption pattern once they are in let's say in an age where we are right now in, and where we appreciate a lean back scenario while we are in a living room. So I think this is one of the great open questions that we haven't answered yet.
And probably something we cannot even imagine now.
No, I mean, there are studies showing they will be exactly they will have the same usage pattern than the older segments right now. Others say they will transfer all their viewing patterns that they are having currently into the new age. So we don't know yet, and this is a real open question. And when it comes to monetization, to have a video product available for the millennials, when it comes to live TV, then this is a real open question that at least we haven't answered yet.
Okay, thank you very much.